So let's get into Saturday night's main event that comes to us tomorrow night from Salt Lake City. And a card that is 4 matches deep, which means, as per the Triple H era, fewer matches, longer matches, which I still believe is the right choice. So we have 4 matches. We'll dive into those in a moment. We're going to get into the emails and the voicemails that you guys sent in, and then we'll be done. So first of all, if you want to join us on Patreon and everything you hear right now, go ad-free and go be able to have a Discord server and a lot of other things. Head on over to patreon.com/WWE podcast if you want to go ad-free. Join us. It's also a 1-week free trial if you'd like to join us there too. So let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's go into the predictions. I'll go into the predictions. That way, when I answer your emails, I can respond to them when you give yours. So I'm going to start here with the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta versus Rusev in a triple threat match. No rules. This could certainly be a setup for Finn Balor to finally get into a program with Dom and be the one to cost Dom. It could be that. It feels like we've been waiting for that for multiple years now. So I'll put that as a possibility that Finn costs Dom, but wouldn't you rather have Finn versus Dom for the title? So Finn could turn on Dom at the end of this. I know Finn's kind of got his own thing going on right now too, but I'm putting that as an outside chance that we could finally see the start of Finn versus Dom. Possibly. Although, why not make that a WrestleMania match? Food for thought. So who wins this? I would hope that it's Dominic Mysterio. Penta and Rusev are kind of boring choices. Penta has, I think at this point, realized his ceiling with his gimmick. Not saying he's a bad wrestler. I'm not saying that he can't go higher and that he's not skilled in the ring, but his limitations are becoming more and more apparent. And that means on the mic, which I've said for so many people, the limitations are on the microphone, and Penta is no different. And his gimmick and his music and his in-ring, I think this is the highest you'll see him go with just his current assets, meaning he's not a particularly interesting choice to win. Sure, he's never won before. It's different. But then you have Rusev on the other side, and it's like, well, Rusev has pretty much slid back into the role he was in before he left to go to AEW. So he's not particularly interesting either. Dominic Mysterio is the one that's hot right now. He's in a transition to babyface, which means he's coming up with fun ways, Eddie Guerrero-esque ways to retain. And I think he'll continue here. Who does he beat? Probably Rusev. I would think Dominic is going to pin Rusev or use some underhanded tactic. But remember, triple threat matches by default are no disqualification. You know my thoughts on that. It's ridiculous. It's beyond stupid, but it is what it is. These matches have no disqualification. So it's going to challenge Dom to have to do stuff behind the referee's back because you don't have to. What that means is you could have Dom just capitalize. He stumbles into a victory here with Penta hitting maybe a finish on Rusev, or Rusev knocks himself out. I don't know. Or Dom could just flat out hit his frog splash, win 1, 2, 3, and retain. He could use brass knucks right in front of the referee. Why not? He could use a low blow. People are behind Dom no matter what he does here, as long as it's against Rusev and even against Penta to some degree. Fans are going to be behind him, and it's a fun ride that we're on with Dom. We're just getting started here with his good guy run, and I think Dominic Mysterio comes off and retains the Intercontinental Championship. I think it's the right choice. It's really, it's not the only choice, but it is the overwhelming right choice to make here, because as I said, Penta or Rusev winning kind of makes the Intercontinental title not devalued, but less interesting by a wide margin, because neither character is particularly interesting. As I mentioned, the reasons earlier for that. So Dominic Mysterio, I think, comes out the victor in a match that, as far as quality goes, I think it's going to be a 15 to 18 minute, really good, fun near fall match. So Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the Women's Championship. We finally have a heel Jade here. Heel Jade against babyface Tiffany, although I would argue Tiffany Stratton is a heel in her own right. just the way that she carries herself, her demeanor. She's off-putting. Her voice, the way she delivers promos, kind of like her whole aura screams heel. Even though the fans got behind her, I understand why they did, and I don't disagree, but it seems as if since she won the title, she's been a bit kind of just, as I said, off-putting. Not as off-putting as, say, Sasha Banks was throughout most of her career in WWE. But Tiffany Stratton, I think, it does have heel tendencies in her own right, even though the fans will be behind her, and I'm much more behind Tiffany than I am Jade, who I'm glad has turned heel. It could breathe new life into her, open up her personality a bit. We get to maybe hear her more on the mic. She doesn't have to be so constrained. Who cares if the fans boo her, because they're supposed to anyway. So I'm interested to see what happens here, because Jade could win. I think there's a real chance Jade wins here. In fact, that's my prediction. I think Jade Cargill wins, because wouldn't that make her even more of a heel? I mean, Jade should win here, actually. And it would put a little more sympathy on Tiffany. Jade might cheat to win. That's fine, I guess. Although not all heels need to cheat to win. I think I need to remind WWE of that. You can just have a heel that's, just because they're a quote-unquote bad guy doesn't mean that they're not just better in the ring than the babyface. But sure, if they want to make it clear that Jade's the bad one here and that you're supposed to boo her, you could ever do something underhanded to win. She could have help. But I think Jade should be crowned here, because they wanted to crown her champion a long time ago, but the fans weren't with it. They were outright rejecting Jade as a babyface. And rightfully so too, because she had no connection with the fans. None. I've talked about that so many times in the past too, trying to avoid repeating myself. But the fact is that she has no connection with the fans, in terms of just that connection we're supposed to cheer her for. That reaction is not going to come naturally with what she presented to us as the good guy version of Jade, or the good gal version of Jade. So this could reinvigorate her. I think it will. I think her as a heel, dominating heel, women's champion, I think there's a very good chance that Jade wins here. And again, I would make her champion, because who cares if they boo her? You're supposed to. It's the right role for her now. So Jade should win. Tiffany will drop the belt here. I feel actually pretty strong about this. If Tiffany retains, I think it would undercut a lot of the turn by Jade that, again, is really fresh. So wouldn't you want to get off and running with Jade? If you have Tiffany outright beat Jade, it really softens her turn. So I think that Jade is going to win. I feel 90% confident about that, very high. I've talked myself higher and higher as I've been speaking the last couple of minutes here. Jade is my pick. CM Punk and Jey Uso for the world title. This one's interesting because Jey has been very much expected to turn heel for months now. There's been a lot of teasing and tension between him and Jimmy and Roman. This one has the potential to certainly turn out that way, where Jey does turn heel. He does something underhanded to beat Punk, and we have a heel Jey Uso. That's fine too. And don't forget, I'm leaning more towards, and I think WWE fans should generally be leaning more towards a heel champion reign right now, because we're heading into WrestleMania season very soon, which means you want a babyface to try to overcome the heel at WrestleMania. That's the story that your whole year is built around SummerSlam to some degree. WrestleMania, not SummerSlam, WrestleMania to some degree. And you do have the other big PLEs too, Rumble and SummerSlam. But your whole year is, it builds around WrestleMania. So you want heels typically to go into WrestleMania as champions. So that would lead me to believe that if Jey wins, he should turn heel, or the fans will just do it for him. And we have a heel Jey going into maybe WrestleMania, although I wouldn't even go that far with him. You could definitely go into the Rumble with Jey and have Jey lose there. That's possible too. But no matter what, if Jey wins here, you have to turn him heel again, or the fans are just going to do it for you. I don't need to see another Jey Uso world title run. It did not. I wouldn't say it was an outright disaster, but it didn't fit him. You can go back and listen to me then. I'm not just having revisionist history or going along with what people are saying now and leaning on how many dislikes the YouTube video got of Jay winning the Battle Royal. I'm simply kind of just doubling down on what I've been saying about Jay since he won the Rumble last year, beat Gunther at WrestleMania, which I still think is a stupid choice. But Jey Uso and CM Punk, this is a tough call. To have somebody pick, to have CM Punk win a world championship at Saturday Night Main Event is not the biggest platform for one of the biggest stars to ever return to the company. And yes, it's been 2 years and we haven't really seen a run with Punk. I don't count the 2 minutes he wanted at SummerSlam. That doesn't matter. I think Jey Uso wins here. I'm not ultra confident because you could certainly make a serious case for Punk to win here too, and just have a babyface run with Punk and Jay doesn't actually turn heel. You could go that way too. This is not easy to predict. You could have Jimmy interfere in this. You could have Roman appear in this. You could have Chris Jericho, who's apparently on his way back to WWE, appear here, and he may be the one that WWE's been putting out a bunch of videos of just this pair of shoes walking. I mean, they literally put out like 10 videos of somebody just walking in dress shoes, whoever that may be, and many people believe it's Chris Jericho. Some people believe it's Gunther. So you could certainly have interference here, either from Jimmy, who's highly likely, Roman, who is somewhat likely, Chris Jericho, who's unlikely but possible, and Gunther, who's also unlikely but possible. You have 4 guys that are floating out there that could certainly have a say in this match. And still, I think Jay wins, and I think they turn him heel. Like I said with Jade. Now, so Jey Uso wins, and what I think is going to be a really fun match. As much as I criticize Jay for his personality and his yeets and all the rest of it, I really still think that it is Jey Uso who really brings it back and reminds you how good he is when he's in the ring. And he's very good outside of the just comically the comic number of super kicks that he delivers in a match, which is just stupid. But outside of that, he's an incredible wrestler, and he has a lot of crowd support, and I can't deny that. I'm not taking away anything from Jay. He also said though on X lately that he's not just an entrance, and that he's equal now with Roman Reigns. No, you're not, dude. Are you kidding? How many main events has Roman Reigns been in? Let me ask you this. I would say WrestleMania main events, and sure, you've been in one with Gunther and you won, but it was a disaster because you were stripped of the belt within a couple of months, which is unheard of for a babyface winning a title at WrestleMania, by the way. It's embarrassing. But you're equal in what way? I mean, as human beings, sure, I believe you're equal as humans, as people. But in terms of wrestling personalities, wrestling characters, needle moving, simply just being a draw in the company, you're kidding, right? There's no way he truly believes that. You can't. What metric is he using? What metric is he using to say he's on equal footing with Roman Reigns? I'd love to know. Because every metric you can put in front of me would say otherwise. He was part of the bloodline, and Jay did an awesome job as part of the bloodline, but the bloodline centered around Roman Reigns, not Jey Uso. He set some really good matches. He set some disastrous matches, a la WrestleMania 40 with his brother. Jey Uso is one of the most celebrated tag teams of all, one half of the tag teams of all time in the Usos. No doubt. Hall of Famer. Yes. So maybe that's the only thing you have in common with Roman Reigns is that you are both Hall of Famers. Although I would say Roman is a legend. He's reaching legendary status where Jay is just going to make it into the Hall of Fame as a tag team. And hey, I'm not trying to take him down. He's an incredibly accomplished wrestler, but he's not in the league of Roman Reigns. I mean, you may share some blood. You may have some genetics that are the same, but that's kind of where it stops. Roman Reigns is a needle-moving performer now. He's no longer in the just kind of regular wrestler. Like, in other words, Roman doesn't even need championships anymore. He could never hold a belt again, and his legacy would not be changed. Jey Uso, on the other hand, still has things he needs to do if he wants to be in the conversation, although I never think he'll reach the level of Roman Reigns. Never. Because Roman Reigns is in elite territory now. He's up there, I would argue, with John Cena's and The Rock's and Stone Cold. Do I think The Rock and Austin are still bigger stars overall? Yes. They are. They're bigger. They're a bigger draw if they ever were to come back. They have household brand value that Roman Reigns still kind of doesn't. But my point is, Jay is kidding himself, hopefully on purpose, that he's equal, quote unquote, to Roman Reigns. But okay, moving on. Undisputed champion Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. This obviously is for the belt. Now, this is a kind of a tough one as well, because you can make the argument for Drew to finally win. You could. I just don't think it's still Drew's time. Not that I don't think it is. I don't think WWE thinks it is. But Drew, how many championship matches is Drew going to get and lose? Between the Undisputed, the world title, what is there is no value anymore in keeping Cody champion unless there's an end goal, which I would hope there is, to maybe turn him heel. But I mean, how many people we turning heel here that I've just outlined, with Jey Uso turning heel and who else did I just say? Jey Uso turning heel, right? I mean, so you can't have everyone turn heel. You have to have some baby faces remain. I don't think this is a Cody Rhodes heel turn matchup. If you want to try to find some evidence, you might be able to find something if you really look for it. But I don't think that's the purpose of this match. Again, I think you could have big returns be involved here. I think Cody wins. Let me get that out of the way. I think Cody wins, and he's going to retain the championship. Drew's going to lose his mind and maybe end up claymoring Cody after the match, and then someone comes out to save him, like Chris Jericho. That is possible. I don't think Roman Reigns gets involved here. Roman, if he's going to do anything, even if he's going to be here, I don't know, at Salt Lake City or in Salt Lake, could be involved in CM Punk. That would make a little bit more sense. So Cody and Drew could result with a big return at the end of the matchup. Maybe even Gunther, although Gunther's on Raw, and he would be more inclined to chase the world title that he lost. So Gunther could certainly come back, and I think that's possible more in the world title match. But Cody and Drew, I mean, they'll put on a 22 minute, just awesome match. Is it going to be an all-time classic? I mean, that's hard to ever say that's going to happen. They're capable of it, but I'm more concerned about the end result here rather than the quality of the match that is going to be B+, A- or higher. These two are going to kill it. I mean, they're just, they don't know how to not kill it. They don't know how to fail. Cody and Drew are just, I mean, they're outstanding, both of them. And I can say that and also say that I hate Cody Rhodes' character, and I always will, as a babyface. I despise it. It's disgusting. It's so phony. It's you want to talk about somebody that is largely entrance. Cody Rhodes, without that entrance, do I dare say he's not as successful as he is? I mean, I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that. Oh, look at the mic work and his in-ring. Absolutely he is. I mean, Cody Rhodes is one of the better men on the mic. He's one of the better men in the ring. He knows how to wrestle, no doubt. But I think what initially grabbed people was the entrance and the music, and maybe he still achieves this success, but maybe not as quickly, because that entrance it's a phenomenal babyface entrance. So my point about all this is possible big heel turn or turns. Drew, I think, loses. Unfortunately, Drew loses. I think you could have a massive returning Chris Jericho. I'd give that like a 40% chance. So Cody retains, Jay wins and turns heel. Jade wins and turns heel. Jay wins and maybe turns heel. I'd put that a little bit less of a chance than Jade. And then you have Dominic retain in a very entertaining matchup. So should be a very interesting night tomorrow night with potential returns, big heel turns on the horizon. And if none of that happens, which sometimes you predict all these extra things of potential returns and heel turns and all the rest, which I'm kind of throwing out there as decently chanced, and then nothing happens. You have just kind of it was all about the wrestling. And a lot of times Saturday night main events are just about the wrestling. So you could have none of these happen. A very standard outcome in Cody retaining, maybe Punk wins. You could have Tiffany retain and Dom retain with no turns. But I hope they don't do that, because that would leave a lot of cards on the table. Okay, so that's my predictions and my thoughts. Let's hear from you. What do you guys think is going to happen? Let's get to it. And let me refresh my feed here. I know I've got a couple of emails. Let's actually start with Jamie G. I won't say your full name. I'm not sure if you want me to. So Jamie G says, hello, fella. Couple of things for you this week. The whole Braun turning on Seth just feels so rushed. The vision for me had such a long way to go, and I feel like they just panicked. I still have faith because I refuse to believe that a Jay Punk match is going to be a clean match. Jay turning doesn't excite me, and Punk winning at Saturday Night Main Event, meh. No contest after some interference. Well, I hope they don't do a no contest. That's also another possibility. Thank you, Jamie, for bringing that up. They could certainly do a no contest where there's no winner, but with the prices that you're charging the fans now, which I still believe fans as a mass should revolt in and stop buying to bring down ticket prices, we need outcomes, especially if you're in person and you don't get a new world champion. I mean, you're really cheating the fans there who have paid good money to be there, more than they've ever paid ever for any Saturday Night Main Event. I mean, the ticket prices are skyrocketing. You can't cheat the fans into a no contest here. I totally get the booking, but this is one of those things that's like, okay, the booking actually makes sense where there's still a vacant championship because somebody gets disqualified, nobody wins. The championship remains vacant even after the match with Jay and Punk. But you can't do that. I would say that the fans in person override that. And it would also tell fans who are going to maybe potentially buy future tickets, hey, WWE can cheat you out of a real finish here. The fans would boo the hell out of it, and rightfully so. So I get it, but I don't think it may not be a clean match either. I've predicted potential interference from Roman or Gunther. They are wild cards here. You could also have Jay do something heelish to win and beat Punk. But I'm still of the belief Punk's going to lose the match here because I don't think that it's the right stage for somebody of Punk's star power to finally win the championship and have a run with it. Okay, for a while now, you've been commenting about how you hated Triple H come out and saying if we're ready. I disagreed because if I were there live, I would be excited to see him come out to his theme music. However, it's gone from that to him now just appearing in the ring and spouting a few words. What really turned me, though, was when I saw him on the WrestleMania poster. Why is he the head of creative on a poster for the biggest event of the year? It's like putting a director on the cover of a movie. Jamie, I couldn't agree more. And the thing with Triple H, okay, and I get in person, it's a different experience. And I would be the first one, if I were in person, to see Triple H in person again for the nostalgic moment of it, to be like, hey, cool, man. I'm 40 years old. I've been watching wrestling since I was, good Lord, 12, 13. So it's been a hell of a long time. Many of you are in the same boat or even longer. And to see Triple H again with his theme music and I totally get it. I don't criticize people in person for cheering it when they're there. I understand. But that's the fraction of a 1% of the audience that's watching. For the 99.99999 amount of people that are watching who are at home, you're going, oh my God, right? It's not nearly as exciting sitting at home. You're just like, good Lord, like Trips, can you just stop it? We don't need to see you. We know you're out here. Like, I don't even need you to be here to know what you're going to say. Like, you're out here for self-serving reasons. And I also kind of understand that to some degree too, because you're a previous performer. You still have that itch. It never leaves your blood. You want to get that rush. Totally get it. But also the massive downside of that is a lot of fans at home groaning like, dude, stop. And you had even Triple H at the end of WrestleMania 40 come out and hold up Cody's hand as if he didn't just write this in the script that he created to have Cody win. It's very like fourth wall meta layers. Like, it's weird. I don't like it. I don't want, like you said, I don't want to see the director of a movie in the poster for the movie. I don't want to see it. Unless for some reason the director is actually having a match or in part of the movie, which occasionally you will see. Stephen King, I think, has done it once or twice in some of his movies. Even the weird one here, but the Christmas Story, I believe the director was a extra or something in the movie. Like, but outside of that, I mean, even then I still would disagree with having the director, or in this case, the head of creative, in the poster. It is extremely self-serving. Why? I know maybe he's doing it, and the argument is that he is he's a draw, like people know his face, and that's true. But when are we going to just pass the torch, dude? You haven't had an actual match in like what, 8-10 years? Like, we're done. Like, okay, we get it. You know, you're the head of creative. I would agree, totally agree with that. It is extremely self-serving, and as a fan at home, you're like, come on, like, this is yawn-inducing. So thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to voicemails. We've actually got a few here. So first one up, I believe this is someone from Tokyo. Yes, Tokyo. Let's see what's going on.
Hey, what's going on? So this is Frank from Tokyo. I've been meaning to call in because, I'm like your one caller from over on the other side of the world here. I called for two reasons today. So one, I just wanted to show appreciation. I love your guys' show. It keeps me tied back to that side of the world and everything there and what's going on in that world, because it's completely different over here. And two, I wanted to let you guys know. So I went to my first live show in, good God, like 30 years. But I took my 5-year-old son because on Saturday, night 2 of the super shows here in Japan, I was able to get some pretty decent seats for, not an arm and a leg like a lot of places pay. We roughly paid for my wife, my son, and me under $400 for front row top section, which is in the sumo arena. It's like a luxury box area. So I think that's pretty good because it came with free concessions and everything, and like one choice of a free merch. So it was like a package deal. So I think it was good for his first event because he couldn't even make it all the way through. But that's because the event, I think, for a road show, house show, whatever you want to call it, my last one that I went to, I was maybe 10. But my first one I went to, there was only 3 matches. But I fell in love with wrestling because I saw Jimmy Snuka, jump 20 feet up in the air. And I was like, oh, I'm hooked on this stuff. But the lineup basically was Jey Uso versus Rusev, Dominic Mysterio versus Penta, AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston, a fatal 4-way between the women's champion, Stephanie, Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky, which Rhea Ripley broke her nose. And at that point, my son, we couldn't really see the blood, but we could see it on the TV. So he got a little freaked out. So we decided to call it a night because, it was like an hour ride back on the train anyway. So I didn't want to like overstress him, but I kind of freaked him out a little bit, which sucks because we missed Ivar and Americano. And then the final match, which I'm unsure because I saw multiple pictures from both nights, but I think it was CM Punk and Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Bronze. But afterwards, they had a special moment, which I really am bummed I missed out on, which was they brought AJ Styles out and said goodbye to him because obviously AJ has a long history here in Japan.
Frank, I think it's the first time. Yeah. Good to hear from you all the way over in Tokyo. I'd look at my stats. We do have some people in Japan. I don't know how many, but we do have, I think, a few hundred listens from Japan, that general area. Most come obviously from North America and the UK and some in Australia and the rest of around the world. But cool. I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate your story and the fact that we can keep you connected here to the Western world, for better or worse. And I hope that it's a fun day for you. I don't know if you're bringing your son out for Halloween or kind of what the culture is over there for Halloween or how much it's celebrated over there or that kind of thing. And but yeah, hey, I love that you're able to bring your son to a wrestling show. I have not yet brought mine. He is somewhat interested in wrestling, but like you said, like something like that with an accident with Rhea Ripley did freak him out, and rightfully so. I mean, you did miss something, but it was an unforeseen unforeseen incident. But overall, it sounds like you had a good time and the price seemed right. Now, the fact that you were able to go to a show, you said it was like $400 for a front row top section for you and your child and your wife. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Now you weren't again in the front row ringside, but I'm sure your view was pretty good. If you're front row, even in the top section, you still got a great view of the ring. I've been there, and it's still, I think, maybe worth $400. I mean, certainly that to me is what the older pricing is. But here in the U.S., man, it is brutal. It's brutal. And you go to any PLE, especially overseas, it is going, I mean, I'm not even kidding when I say people are going to take out personal loans, maybe even take out second mortgages on their home to go to WrestleMania this year, which is just ridiculous. But back to your story. I don't want to go off track. I'm glad that, again, you were able to go with your family. The moment with AJ Styles, I'm sure, was just awesome. You know, obviously, as you said, tons of history in Japan. A lot of memories for AJ there, and his whole next year is going to be about AJ Styles, probably celebrating AJ Styles, and rightfully so there. So I'm glad you're able to enjoy wrestling with your family. It's a great thing to share with your family and connect and bond and all that kind of stuff. It's true. It sounds kind of cliche and squishy, but it's true. And I hope that you continue. And whenever they go over to Japan, I don't know how often they're there. I would imagine, though, in the coming years, they're going to be there more than normal because WWE's global strategy has really expanded. I mean, you'll notice how many PLEs are not in the United States anymore or Canada. They're in the UK or in Australia or the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, or I mean, they're really trying to move out of the United States, which I have mixed feelings about selfishly, but that should result in more events, live events, televised events, and or PLEs in Japan. I don't know if you mentioned how close you are to Tokyo. I don't know if you live right in Tokyo, but if it's not a long drive and the price is somewhat right, hey, you could have more events in the next couple of years to be able to bring your family to. So very good. Thank you, Frank. Good to hear from you. Let's go to our next caller.
Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about, so the world title situation. I think there are people who are assuming and kind of are slightly expecting Breakker and Reed to interfere on Saturday against Punk and Jay because there's no heat between these two, which I get, but to hold off until Survivor Series seems a little too long. I think majority of them is going to be inside War Games, I assume. So I think some people are just assuming they should crown a new champion at Survivor Series, and then what was the point of doing this at Saturday Night Main Event for getting a disqualification? So I hope that doesn't happen. Maybe Punk wins, then they'll move on. If I was like the women's War Games match scenario, I think I see a combination of what we just saw last night on Raw was Alexa and Charlotte in inside War Games with probably Roxanne and Raquel maybe, or even and with the Bigger Warriors and Bailey and Lyra. I think that will be the form of War Games, kind of will be factoring those four women based on what happened between the tag team title match on last night. So I don't know, we'll see. But that's just my thoughts with the whole world title situation. You need the crowning champion and not have disqualification and crowd at Survivor Series, because to me that would be like a waste of time. And put the title on Punk and let's start over and come up with a good story with the world title scene, since it was abrupt from Rollins' injury. So that's it. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, Kyle, thanks for bringing up the fact that you have Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed out there. They could interfere. On top of Brock Lesnar. I mean, where's Brock Lesnar? He just does things. So I forgot it. Even my predictions talk about Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, or Brock Lesnar. A lot of B's there. So those are three men that we could also see. And on top of the other returns of potentially Chris Jericho or potentially Gunther or potentially there's somebody else I can't remember. But there's a lot of potential out there. We always talk about this for every PLE of these kinds of things, and interference and all the rest of it. And it could just end up being, as I said, just plain wrestling, no interference, straight finishes. Could certainly be that, and that would be the most boring, but I guess safer choice. But like you said, and to reiterate my earlier argument, you can't make this a disqualification. You can't end the world title match on a DQ. While I understand the temptation and I totally understand the booking, as I said, it really, I think, would undermine a little bit of the goodwill with fans and going to live events and expecting an outcome that you don't get. I mean, you essentially are paying 25% of your ticket because there's 4 matches, one of them being the world title match. You're expecting an outcome from the match that is definitive, and you're going there to see a new world champion crowned in part. So if they don't give that to you on some lame disqualification from interference from someone, that's just kind of a crappy thing to do. I mean, it's just a crappy thing for the in-person crowd, again, who will boo the hell out of that. I mean, there is no outcome in this world that you could make or design that would make the crowd boo louder than having a disqualification be the finish for the world title match of Jay and Punk. There is nothing you could do that would piss off the crowd more. Even Jay turning heel and all the rest, they'll still boo. But I mean, it is guttural, instinctual hatred for the finish if they do a DQ finish. Part of me, the dark part of me, wants to see it just to see how just horribly the crowd reacts, and rightfully so, justifiably, righteously so. But I don't think they'll go there. You just can't, right? Right? Can they? Oh God, thank you, Kyle. All right, one more voicemail. I see there might be a couple here. Let's go to one of them, see and what happens.
Hey, it's the Waz from the Indianapolis area. Just a few thoughts. I caught up on your podcast. Basically, the Crown Jewel review and the last 3 Raws. I too was very shocked about the turn on Seth, but it makes sense since he's actually injured. It was a good swerve for them to make moving forward. I do think they need to add something more to the new version of this division. More guys. I'm not opposed to somebody like, I don't know, JD McDonough turning on the Justice Day, or even maybe just Dom doing it, something like that. When it comes to the Crown Jewel belt, it seems kind of pointless. The belt itself doesn't actually get carried by anyone other than like maybe the Monday Night Raw after the event, and then it just gets put away and back in stage somewhere that they keep it. The ring, however, I'm actually not opposed to the ring. I know you didn't like it. I know you dogged on the ring, but I actually like the ring. At least the ring, they can wear it, they can have it, and they can say, for this particular year, I was the guy that won the championship. That version of the championship. It puts the top people against each other. It gives us an opportunity to see what they would do with that, how that could play off as it is now with Seth's injury, going forward, how that would work in storyline. Just as in the NFL, they get a ring for winning the championship. Fine, give them the ring. They beat the other guy or gal. That's fine. But actually build it into the storyline. That's my only thing. That would be my only stipulation. Because going forward, even if Seth didn't get injured, it really wouldn't mean anything to Cody if they don't actually do something with Cody losing. With Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, you said you thought that Flair should stay babyface. If they split up, you suggested Alexa Bliss turning heel. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Turn her heel and put her with the Wyatt Six. That's where she should be. She should be leading that group, or co-leading that group with Bray's brother. Can't even think of his name. Bo Dallas.
Waz, good to hear from you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And listening to you about the ring being a prize for the match at Crown Jewel, and I would be a little more open to that, certainly, than the ridiculous championship belt that is much too big, gaudy. No one wears it outside of a day before the event to remind you that there's a championship. But if it's so important, why wouldn't you wear it the rest of the year? I mean, it's, yeah, you and I are in lockstep there about the championship belt itself. The fact that it's even being labeled and branded as a championship, this match or matches is of course stupid, but I'm more open to the ring. Not the wrestling ring, but the ring you put on your finger that they have. I would soften my argument on that because, sure, if they want to have something like a ring and have a few diamonds in there and the camera zooms in on it, fine. If they want to present it like a high school ring, fine. You know, the rings that most of us got in high school for your class, you know, whatever it was. That your parents spent a couple $100 on that most of us don't even wear anymore. That kind of thing, fine. Like I would begrudgingly be like, whatever, like shrug at that. You want to wear that, wear it, because it's less in your face. It's more, I think, in line with what that match means, which is there's nothing really on the line. The championship doesn't mean anything. So sure, wear the ring. Like fine. I would concur with that a little bit more than certainly the championship belt. Also, Waz, I know you left a second voicemail, but I think it's pretty much the same as this one. So I'm not going to play the second one because this one it came through obviously just fine. You heard it. So thank you for listening, though. I appreciate it. I know you and I don't always see eye to eye on things, and you call me out, which is fine. I mean, hey, I'm all for civil debate and discourse and all the rest of it. I love that. I think that I don't want people to agree with me. I mean, don't disagree just to disagree. I mean, if you truly have a stance and you believe in that perspective, I mean, have at it. I love that. I mean, it's always, you know, fun when people agree, but disagreeing is cool too. And you certainly bring that at times, and yet still listen. I like that. You know, I say things and I have my flaws, and I'm not the best podcaster in the world. And my views are sometimes flawed as well, but I appreciate it. And I also, again, appreciate you listening for all these years. I think you've been listening for years. Could be wrong on that. There's also some listeners that I haven't heard from in a long time. How about this? I'm going to make a roll call for some people that I have not heard from in a while. Maybe you guys remember them. Maybe you don't. If you're a new listener, you're like, who the hell is he talking about? But here we go. Here's a couple people right off the top of my head that I haven't heard from in a while that used to call in on this show. Sharon from Israel. You out there? Hello out there. Sharon, hope you're doing well in Israel. Certainly, I'm sure not a whole lot going on over there. I know it's pretty quiet. But in all seriousness, I hope you and your family are well if you're listening out there, Sharon. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan. Remember them? Great co-host at the time. They are and were some of the friendliest people that I've met through this medium. So I hope they're doing well. Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, hope you're doing well. And Justin from Maryland. Remember Justin from Maryland? He'd always kind of close out our mailbag. I hope you're doing well, Justin. This is not a call for me to, you know, you guys have a homework assignment to call in, but I just genuinely hope all of you are doing well because it's been a while. I know for years doing this show, you guys were mainstays and people move on and stop listening, and that's fine too. But I wanted to throw out just off the top of my head, those three who are and were constant call-ins. So hope all you're doing well. Again, guys, if you want to join us on Patreon to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Go ad-free. Get rid of the ads you heard. Join us on the Discord server. And you also get a shout out on the show. So that's also a good thing. And you get priority placement in this mailbag show. If you are a patron and you send a message, you get a priority placement towards the beginning. So it's also another benefit. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back on the back end of the Saturday Night Main Event show. If things are big enough and I'm not asleep, because my brain totally shuts off at about 10 o'clock when I'm laying in bed. The last thing I want to do when I'm half asleep, finishing up a PLE, is to come into my office and try to, you know, fire up some neurons in my brain to be able to speak and talk intelligently about the PLE. But sometimes I'll force myself to, depending on the magnitude of the event and what we just saw. So it's possible that I'll do a immediate post show after the Saturday Night Main Event if I have the energy, to be quite honest with you. And you're saying, oh, you're lazy. Other podcasters do. Well, great. Other podcasters don't have kids and other things that I've got going on. Like, you know, so it's not as easy as it sounds, like, you know. So anyway, it's not because I'm lazy. I just literally run out of energy. This is not the only thing I do in my life. But so I just want to let you know, I understand you'd like an instant reaction, and I'll try to do that. But more than likely, it'll be Sunday for the Week in Review. Also, get your reactions to Saturday Night Main Event to me. I will review them and talk about them on my Sunday Night Week in Review that will cover the Saturday Night Main Event results. So email me if you want to get that on the show. It's mailbag@wwepodcast.com. I'll certainly be getting that on the show the best I can. If I get a lot of them, I'll read as many as I can. So check it out, guys. I appreciate all your support, and we'll be chatting soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.